Every day, chatbots and AIs are getting stronger. So in this video, I decided to put ChatGPT to the test by asking it to compose a nocturne in the style of Frédéric Chopin. And the results are impressive. Impressively bad maybe, but either way you'll be impressed. Now our journey begins when I asked ChatGPT, hey, can you compose a melody for me in the style of a Chopin nocturne? And this is what I got. Now, after hearing this melody, I was, of course, really curious what chords the chatbot had in mind. This is what I got. Now, if you'd never had the pleasure, or maybe I should say the torture, of asking a chatbot a question before, maybe you don't know this, but the chatbots can't just answer your question. They can't just do exactly what you say to do. They have to also put in all this information to show you how smart they are. So it says all this crazy stuff like the beautiful ascending leaping melody in measure 1. That's 3 blind mice, actually. But whatever, you can think it's ascending and leaping if you want to. Or I'll say the chords that I chose are very indicative of Chopin's brilliant, subtle style. That aside, the chords actually get a little more interesting in our next step, because I said, hey, what's a good left-hand pattern to put with these chords? What's something that's going to sound like Chopin, but also fit the style of a nocturne? I didn't want to get So this is the first 4 measures. There's many more measures to go, but this is kind of like the completed version of the first 4 measures. I want to play the first 4 for you just so you get a sense of how our nocturne sounds. Now, I made the mistake in my last AI composition video of saying something was good, and people, maybe rightly so, called me on the comments and said nothing in that section was as good as anything Mozart wrote. I thought it was implied, but in case it's not implied here, relative to what you're about to hear next, those 4 measures I just now played were pretty good. So now that we had kind of a working main theme, our first 4 measures done, I asked the chatbot to immediately restate that and add in a few subtle little changes here and there. Listen to what it changed when I asked it to do that. Hear that? So now that we've done our main tune twice, I asked ChatGPT, hey, can you give me a secondary melody kind of within this first section? That's what Chopin often does in the nocturnes. He gives us kind of 2 main tunes that bounce back and forth within the first main A section before going on to a B section. It did a decent job of giving me something in the same vein, but very different sounding. So this part sounds like... Then we return. So yes, after writing the secondary tune within our first section, I asked ChatGPT to go back to the beginning, give us kind of a return, and then I asked it just to close out the section, which it did like this. Okay, so now we have come to our next big section. Most of the nocturnes are divided into a big A, big B, big A section, and that was my goal for this piece. So I said for the B section, we need something completely different. Take us to a new key. It was really clever and chose E major, which is the, relative major. So actually not that creative, but I said, take us to a new key, give us a brand new melody, brand new texture, brand new kind of everything. I think this section also needs to go a little faster to make sense. In fact, I didn't follow its original tempo marking anyway. It said to go 52 for the 8th note. That's really slow. And especially in this section, I think it kind of works a little better. In this stylus Chopin, just push it a little bit. Now, it was at this point that I started to really encourage ChatGPT to spread its wings and make a piece out of this. Don't just be this safe the whole time, right? It's a little uncreative. It's a little too bland. I was just like, you got to use more something. You got to have a flourish in there. You got to have some cool harmony. You need to do something, anything. And it did. Where did that come from? Now, please remember my conversation earlier about the word good being a relative term. The stuff earlier I called good relative to what happens later. Well, believe it or not, what you just now heard was actually very good compared to the next couple measures. And not only are these notes atrocious, but at this point, ChatGPT completely lost his mind and started saying things like, this works because it's an ascending chromatic scale. What? And they'll be like, and it ended on the leading tone in the melody. Like, no. So at this point, I was really starting to feel like we had enough of this B section. So I said, hey, can you write a retransition that kind of gets us back to the A section? And it couldn't do it. It was terrible. It couldn't quite remember how things worked. It just wasn't coming together. It was even worse, much worse than what you just now heard. It didn't make any sense at all. Like, I find it so fascinating that some of the ideas in the piece are very Chopin-esque. I was warming up for this video, practicing. I printed off my horribly ugly score of this piece, and I was warming up for this video tonight, and someone heard me practicing, and they were like, what are you playing? I was like, well, take a guess, hoping they would say maybe Chopin. They were like, it's not good. That's not a good piece. What is this piece? What's this disgusting, nasty thing you pulled out from somewhere in the world? And it was just a good reminder that even though this piece does things that are like Chopin, no, AI is not to the point where it can actually truly imitate great music. Maybe we'll get there sometime, but not yet.